Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Adam Steele, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Liam Wright. Hello.
Hello. How are you all?
I'm all right. Your screen seems a little small here. There we go.
I know, I'm a little.
Yeah, that would be because this is all on a new computer, relatively speaking. There we go. I've moved the entire podcast setup from my laptop to the new editing machine. So everything is now nice and smooth. You can probably see a much higher frame rate out there if you're watching in YouTube land. Everything is good. Meters are working. And yes, this is the weekly tech, music tech and guitar podcast for anyone who hasn't seen us before, where we talk about everything that's come up in the news this week and then also talk about everything else that's happened to us, with our friends, all that kind of stuff. So, the headline this week is that our Celestion video is finally out. Ooh. Yeah, and it's had a really good reception, and I'm very happy. And yeah, it's been out 24 hours. And let's just look at the stats. The main thing is the number of hours watch time is 360 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in a day. It's had over 2,000 views, but the average view duration over 2,000 views is 10 minutes. Yeah, talk about them stats. Hey. Yeah, so let's roll the intro and then talk about that a little bit more. Hey. There we go, yes. Danny in chat says it's a stream so good they put a Maserati ad in front of it. Ooh. Yeah.
I love how they think that our viewers can afford a Maserati. It's like Adam's advice about audio production is so good, you better afford a Maserati.
Well, there might just be that one guy watching who can just go, Maserati, hadn't really considered them, drops cash. But, you know.
I could probably afford the monthly payment once.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I mean, I could afford the monthly payments on a Maserati if I lived in a box. I lived in the Maserati. No, in fact, I probably even couldn't afford one then. No. A man can dream. I'm sure we've had this conversation before. I wouldn't even want a Maserati. I just want like a tricked out Skoda or something that just looks plain. Not a big fan of those. Not a big fan of those kind of cars where everybody looks at you and goes, "Oh, what an idiot!" Driving one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with John Brown a few times. He's like, "Oh, I'd have a Lamborghini," because he's a proper petrol head. So he knows exactly what he would want, and I'm looking at him like, I don't want any of those because I'm never going to drive them on a track, and I don't want the stigma in public. So, not for me.
No.
I mean, I'd probably get the Volkswagen equivalent of like the Audi A8 or something. Just big, luxurious, comfortable, bit low-key. Yeah.
It's got to be electric these days, though. If you're going to spend money.
Sure. I mean, that's the other thing. That I mean, I'm just vaguely dreaming. But, yeah, it probably would be something more like a Tesla Model 3 then, I guess.
Have you seen the Lucids?
No.
Lucid Air, I think it is. It's
Okay.
They're starting deliveries later this year. They're one of the rivals. Kind of three main sort of electric manufacturers to sort of rival the old guard. Tesla, NIO, based in China, and then Lucid in America. And Lucid Air is really nice. It looks really cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'd have a Tesla as well.
Andre in chat says a Skoda with an Audi engine. So you mean a Skoda? It's the funny.
Weirdest thing. Remember when we were growing up, Skodas were a joke, and then they got revamped.
Yeah, my mum had one of the old meme Skodas, the old brown cube. Oh, it was the funniest thing. We had to have a bag of cement, like sand, in the front because otherwise, if you went down a hill, there was no weight in the front, and the steering lifted, and you couldn't steer.
Wow.
Yeah, they were that bad. It was hilarious. But it worked and they were solid. And I don't remember it ever breaking down. It's the AK-47 of the car world. It just works. Oh, dear.
Oh, funny.
But yes, this Celestion video is finally out. The one that I've been talking about for months. And it seems to be going down well. Henning Pauly actually did an entire video about it on his channel. So big thanks to Henning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And talking of Henning now, as of today, has a whole drum production course out with Spectre Digital. And my video about his thing comes out tomorrow morning. I've just edited it, but because we've got a video going out today, they would clash and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, he's got a big course coming out about how to program drums. If you're not actually a drummer and don't really get how drums work properly, he kind of talks you through that with all the major brands of different drum VSTs. So yeah, that's a thing now. And there's going to be a link. In fact, in chat, I will put the link because I know what it is. It's hoppole.co/Henning Drums. Because that's how I make my links. Actually, I'd best click that and just... that doesn't go anywhere yet. Smooth.
Wow, wow.
Wah, wah, wah. That will go somewhere in the next 30 seconds because, of course, it will. Because I had this planned all along, but because the video isn't going out until tomorrow, well, there you go. So, click a few buttons and click some more buttons and click a button. Copy that into there, copy that into there, paste. And then Henning Drums, enter. Done. Now that goes somewhere. Hey. There we are. 15 hours of how to fake drums if you're bald. Well, that covers a large percentage of us, I'm sure. Everybody's bald underneath the wig. But yes, it's been quite a week, and a lot of my week has been taken up by that. Honestly, that Celestion video, because firstly I had to make sure it was right, then make the subtitles, the thumbnails, the everything. It's got so many timestamps, it's insane, and I actually had to make a Google Sheet with all the timestamps in because they wouldn't physically fit in the description box.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's a field of, I think it's 26 times 13 timestamps for each individual clip. Wow. That's many and lots.
Wow.
Yeah, although luckily I happen to know from our old A-level IT course a little hack in Excel where I could put 2 timestamps in and then drag a little thing and it would calculate them all. So that saved me a lot of time because otherwise I wouldn't have, I would have been there for an hour or maybe 2. That made me very happy to try that and then test it and it worked. It's like, yes!
Excel.
Yes, good old Excel, or as everybody now calls it, Google Sheets.
I still use Excel.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you make fancy 3D pie charts and stuff?
No, I just find it useful for when download. So the thing with Google Sheets and Google Docs is you can't download them. If you put them in a Google Drive and put them in a folder, then they're literally just links to the website. So it can be a bit sticky at times with work. So
right.
I mean, it's $7.99 a month for the Office 365, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And you get like 5 licenses. So
okay.
Yeah, if you do feel the need, I can give you a code because you can be part of my family.
Cool.
Me, I have one. Ash has one. I gave one to Josh. Just add you to my Microsoft family, and you can have one.
Back when I was part of the RSPB for a while, I had a login then, and it was kind of nice. But I didn't tend to need any fancy features, so it just kind of.
I just like it being able to download stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes things it depends if you're not using other people's stuff. But sometimes, CSVs that people send you, you need to use. I mean, actually, and you can do it in Google Sheets anyway, but I am using it kind of semi-fancily in that you can get stock quotes through Excel. You can do it in Google Sheets though as well, apparently. But so you can put in the stock ticker, and then it will give you like the price, how much it's changed today, the value, and all this stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I've got that in my portfolio.
Awesome. So you've just got an Excel sheet that auto updates with all your portfolio, and that's pretty clever, actually.
Yeah, because I wondered if I could check what sort of kind of categories I've invested into, and realize that I've invested way too much into electric vehicles.
Aha. Oh dear.
Talking about it, segueing back.
Well, the more we can promote electric vehicles as a sustainable thing, maybe we can artificially inflate the value.
Yes, everyone go out there and buy a Tesla.
Yes, that will do things. I mean, yeah. Oh, anyway. Yeah. So how's your week been? What have you been up to, if anything?
I had a week off, which was very, very nice. Although I ended up... So we had 4 days off, which were the 4 days between the bank holiday. But we worked, me and Ash, we worked the weekend before, which was 2 days. Then we worked the bank holiday and then one of the weekends. So actually, we've not really had any time off at all. We just moved it all into 1 week, which is annoying, but c'est la vie. So yeah, we spent the time recovering from working too hard beforehand and didn't really get much done. Except for maybe buying a house.
Oh.
Which is pretty cool. That was why I was having to look at my phone, because the mortgage advisor was asking for some more documents.
Oh, joy.
So yeah, getting a house just down the road. Do you know where the old pet shop we used to go to was? I'm sure you went there at least once with me and Seb.
Probably.
Guide Bridge, like down the road towards B&Q.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember, but
yeah, it's just around there, so it's like literally 5 minutes away.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, not really having many pet shops aren't something I tend to memorize.
Aha. So yeah, and mining Trillium has been my thing that I've been doing this week. It's been fun. It's an NFT game where you can just essentially mine stuff. It's pretty much the whole game. You click a button, and then you wait 6 minutes, and you click a button again. And it's pretty cool.
Sounds like a pretty rubbish game, but...
I recommend having a look at it, and everyone in chat have a look, because I think it's ridiculously cool, especially if you work from home. It's alienworlds.io. There's nothing you have to pay to get involved with it. I'm not affiliated with it in any way. But it costs nothing to play. And if you're sat working at home and you've got a spare monitor, if you click a button every 12 minutes, just once, you can make about, what did I work it out as? About $20 a day. Wow. Mining Trillium. And it was like, yeah, depends how long you do it for, if you're doing it for like 12 hours or whatever. But essentially works out at about $2 an hour, which, given that you can do it on your phone, do it on your side monitor, like serious sort of extra side hustle. So I've been playing that. It's been fun. There's like different land that you can mine. You can like get different cards, and sometimes you don't just mine the Trillium, you get an NFT, which is like a better drill or something. And you might get some land, and if you get some land, then when other people mine it, you get the rewards as well. So it's kind of like an idle like game. Do you know what I mean? It's like you just idle. But I'm literally making more money from it than I am from mining Ethereum with 3 like 800 quid graphics cards. So
Interesting.
So that's the tech element of it. There's no audio involved. The soundtrack's kind of nice, but I've got it muted because you don't want it on all day. So yeah, that's been my week.
Awesome. I had a few people in chat already talking about the Celestion video. I had one guy saying, yes, thank you very much. Another guy saying who's definitely popping into the podcast in the future. Yes, please do, please do. We're on iTunes and Spotify if you don't have the time to watch it on the video or you want to listen to it while driving or whatever. Poonin just says, can you use multiple tabs to increase your income?
Yeah, they claim that they'll find you and ban you. I can't see from looking at how the blockchain works how they would do that. But from what their mods have said on the Discord, there's no issue with using multiple devices though. So I was running it on a Chrome tab, an incognito Chrome tab, an Edge tab, and an incognito Edge tab, and it was all working completely fine. But then from speaking to the mods, I decided I wasn't going to risk it because I'd already made some money in one of the accounts. So I'm just using one. But yeah, if you've got like a tablet, like a phone, a computer, and any other device in the house, partners, phones, or whatever, you could have them all running it all day. And then you are literally talking about thousands of dollars a month doing that. Like, it's insane. And that's at the current rate as well. Like, it can easily go up. It's only just launched on Binance, the coin. So, and it's a really cool game. Like, there seems to be quite an active community, although it's been down like quite a bit the last 2 days as people are, I think, realizing how profitable it is and therefore trying to bot it and causing issues. So they're having to like fight out the bots at the moment, I think.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, it's interesting.
Well, should we look at the news?
Let's look at his news. Let's get into
The
some audio.
news. Audio stuff. All right. Okay, so let's begin with the Kemper power cabinet finally hitting the market. 19 classic speaker imprints. Oh, hello.
No, push down. Yeah, there we go. There you go. Boom, fixed it.
Fixed it.
Oh.
There we go. So yes, Kemper power cabinet hits the market. This is something that's been coming for a long time, and this is their attempt at making something that is kind of modeling but kind of separate. I don't know what they're quite trying to achieve here, but talking about all the different speakers that we've talked about recently, the idea with this is you change a button and this power cabinet changes its speaker type in the box. So because it's an integrated system, apparently it's more realistic. And that way you can pick for different guitar model amps in the Kemper different speaker models. Yeah, clever. Probably quite nice if you're out live, which nobody's done in a year, but apparently people are going to go out and start doing that now again. Well, hey. Oh, by the way, if you see me drinking, I am drinking Bass, which is the most English drink possibly ever. If you are of... No, it's a full Bass.
Oh.
Proper old man's Bass drink.
You know what? Didn't actually really realise that Bass did anything other than shandy.
Ah, yes, they're famous in England for their shandy, but no, Bass are a brewers from... where are they from? It just says they're part of InBev these days. I'm pretty sure they're Yorkshire-based, but I can't remember now. They've taken that off the label because it's just another one of the main brands. But when I was a young man, I used to drink Bass Red Triangle and Bass Blue Triangle quite a lot as well. I think the Blue Triangle was the mild, and it was cheap. It was famous because it was cheap. But yes. If you're drinking age, feel free to drink along. If you so desire, you don't have to. If you're not of legal drinking age, well, ask the bill payer for permission before placing a call. That's what they used to say on the kids' TV shows, isn't it? Always make sure you ask the bill payer for permission. So,
also, when you're asking permission, you could also ask them to hit the like button on the video, which 6 people have done so far, which is a third of the people in here right now. Oh, it's even less now. So if everyone in here could just tap that button, then it'll really help the channel going forward. It's not just for us. We don't care if it gets liked. Or hit the dislike button. It's fine. Just hit one of the buttons, and it'll help it with the algorithm to see more people, and we'll get more people in here for next time.
That certainly would help, and it would be appreciated. Thank you very much, everybody.
And it helps Adam to kind of be able to go on with live when he's having to do 1 bazillion time codes for his videos.
Yes. Oh, what a chore that was.
He's had to do that. How many thousands? Hundreds?
Of
time codes.
Oh, the timestamps. Oh, lots.
More than 8.
It was a lot more than 8.
Oh, there you go. So we got 8 likes. So now 7. Someone's unliked the video. That is just rude. So now the video's over. We have to give up now. Go home.
Done. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah. Oh, that old trick. But yeah.
No.
Yeah. Andre says Kemper speaker for live and change gain and EQ for every song. Well, the idea is you're not supposed to mic this up. This is supposed to be something that faces the guitarist as a guitar monitor. If they were using a Kemper, you'd be getting a DI to the front of house anyway, and you just deal with what you're given. Speaking as a fellow live sound engineer, you deal with what you're given, and I'd rather be given a Kemper signal any day than stick a microphone in front of the wrong speaker for the sound that the person's trying to get. So, yeah, there you go. But, yeah, David says, I need a MIDI action rigged up to make an auto timestamp. That would be nice. I mean, I've just got my Stream Deck back. I could probably do that, but not only would I forget to press the button, because that's me, but also I'd have to go back and be like, well, what was the timestamp for? My April Fool's was killer. What did I do for April Fool's? We just did April Fool's on here as the podcast, didn't we? Unless that was somebody else. I don't know. But yes, back to the news. If you do want one of these, if you're a Kemper devotee, they are about €700, $800. It says £500, but that'll probably be a link from Toman, which doesn't include the 20% VAT, so that's £600 more likely, which is close to the euro value, which makes sense. Yes, apparently the exact delivery date to the US warehouse is still a moving target. I wonder if that went through the Suez Canal.
Yeah, quite likely. I think something like 80% of goods travel via ship these days, so quite likely.
Did you see that actual ship still hasn't left because Egypt won't let it go?
Oh, I heard something about it. Yeah, they want damages or something, don't they?
Yeah, and they won't let the ship go until they get some money. Which, I mean, how are they going to get money if their ship's still not been released?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Ah, well.
Yeah, I don't know. I've no idea how any of that works. It sounds very complicated.
Yes. Anyway, let's move on from this to something that is really cool, and I think I could see myself actually kind of using this. Rode have come out with a software called Rode Connect. Now, we know quite a few people who use the Rodecaster Pro big fat podcast recording hardware thingy. They're very cool, very simple, and when they work really well. Our friend Stu from Warrior Collective uses one. My friend John Brown uses one for his podcasts. But they are quite expensive when you start adding in the cost of the microphones and the thing itself. You're probably looking at something like £1,000 all in by the time you've got all your gear for a big thing. So Rode have come out with a software called Rode Connect. Now, if you've got their $99 NT-USB mini mic, then you can use their Rode Connect software, which is kind of like a software version now of the Rodecaster Pro. And you can connect up to 4 of these NT-USB minis, and they will all appear in this software as separate sources.
Okay.
So for $400, you can have 4 separate inputs on a podcast with the extras, with the system sound and everything coming in as well. And they don't charge any extra for this software.
Okay.
So, yeah. Very, very clever. Very cool. Kind of modular recording that can be exported in MP3 or WAV formats, and apparently also streamers can benefit from dedicated output controls to OBS and XSplit. So yeah, you can have all your microphones and everything going in here and then fed as a single source through to something like OBS. Very, very clever. And it can...
But then you need to control it with a mouse in order to change volumes and stuff and mute things, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but then that depends how you want to work. And I mean, if you really, really need it to be touch, you buy the Rodecaster Pro.
Just wondering whether they would... all it needs is a Stream Deck plugin, and then that could be quite good.
I wouldn't mind betting somebody's already on it. Because that's kind of how Stream Deck works, isn't it? Is that people make plugins for Stream Deck and just throw them together and they're out there and off you go. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind betting that that's in the works. But yeah, this does single and multi-track recording, so you can record all the tracks separately in a file. I know that the Rodecaster Pro saves all the channels in one big interleaved WAV file, so there's no syncing to do later. It just drops into your editing, where although it is a bit awkward getting the routing out of all the multiple tracks, but I know I can do that. But if that's not something you want to do, you could just record it down to a single track and have done with it if that's how you'd rather work. But yeah, works on macOS 10.13 or later and Windows 10 newish versions. But yeah, for 99 euros per microphone, if you only need two of them, that's a $200 solution right there for a two-person podcast with recording software that comes with. That's pretty clever.
Not bad.
Yeah, and because of that, the way it works, you don't have to do anything like aggregate drivers for different USB mics and that kind of thing. I think that's the killer feature of it, is that like I could probably do that. I could aggregate different devices and, but that's really technical. Whereas if you open this and you go, mic 1, 2, 3, 4, there you are, let's go. Well, yeah, nice and simple, off we go. Love it. Now from mics to amps. I like the look of this. This is from Hageman Amplification. Not heard of them before, but this amp is called the 1 Watter. And it's a it's a little pedal board thing, and that is a 1 watt guitar amp. And it looks really cool. I mean, as a practice amp, that could probably be really sweet. And yeah, it's got kind of like a preamp-ish valve is actually the output valve. It's a 12BH7, which can put out a watt.
So how loud is that going to be at 1 watt?
If you're trying to run it clean, it's probably going to be speaking volume. If you start driving it, it's still going to be pretty loud. It's not going to have any kind of weight behind it, any like chug. It's going to be saturated as you like, but it'll still be pretty noisy, especially with the boost engaged. I mean, 1 watt with a particularly sensitive speaker can be like 100 decibels.
Right.
Yeah, so it can still send you def. It just won't have any definition to it at that volume, which if that's what you want, you can actually do that on purpose. Yeah, so it's got little inset knobs so that even if you stand on it, they don't get changed. And it's got things to protect the valve. So if you put this on a pedal board, you're not...
Yeah. Although one of the valves isn't protected.
No, but looking at the design of it, they're kind of covered. So yeah.
If you stand on it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be super clumsy to damage that. And if you're that clumsy anyway, you probably wouldn't be the kind of person to put this on your board.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, if you've got to press the if you're pressing the buttons in a dark room with your feet, you could miss. Yeah,
you could. I mean, at 1 watt anyway, I probably wouldn't be taking this out to a show.
I'm talking about playing it in your bedroom and air guitaring, essentially, because it's that quiet.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, 1 watt doesn't sound like much, but this would be plenty more than air guitar loud. I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think there. The JCM 800 Studio that I've got, the little one, has a 5 watt mode, and on 5 watt mode, it can send me def for sure.
Oh, cool.
It's just not got that weight behind it, like I say, whereas higher wattage guitar amps, once you start getting up into loud volumes, you go chug and it hits you with the wall of air and goes boom boom. Whereas a lower wattage amp just kind of, you go chug chug and it goes rah rah. It's like those little scooter engines that go past that go ee. They're still really loud. They've just got no guts. Same kind of thing. Some people want that out of an amp. I mean, if that's what you want, hey. Yeah, so Poo Ninja says 97 dB at 1 watt at 1 meter. That'll be for a speaker that's got 97 dB sensitivity. But yeah, there are some speakers like the Alnico Blue from Celestion. I mean, if anyone's going to know which speaker to pick, that thing will spit volume at you. Oh boy. So yeah, there you go. So if you want one of those, they are $439 US, which for something that looks handmade and has 3 valves in it and is all analog, all hand wired, I think that's pretty good value actually. And it's got a boost channel with an EF86 pentode, which means nothing to a lot of people, but the very, very, very earliest Vox AC30s had that valve in the design. And they're actually quite highly sought after, that design now, because they stopped doing them because they realized the AC30 was that loud. It made that valve start to whistle and sing. Not so good, especially in the early 60s when tones were not all about howling feedback. Tones at that point were more supposed to just make your guitar super loud. So getting that back then, not a good thing. Whereas I think now it's more like, ooh, that's nice. Whereas then it was turn it off, turn it off. So yeah, it's got volume, bass and treble, and a selectable amount of gain on the boost, which has got a separate pedal. It's pretty clever. So yeah, there you go. You want one, get one. They're here, they're green. So this struck me as pretty cool. We've seen guitars on this channel made out of all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
This one is really pretty. This is made out of 14 skateboards.
Ah.
Yeah. I mean, how pretty is that finish?
It's cool.
You see that? Yeah. And it's a really weird shape, which appeals to me.
I thought it was going to be sweets. Like, it looks like it's almost like made of candy. Like,
What
you know,
surprised? Yeah. What I really like is you look at the neck. The neck is made out of skateboards as well, which usually when they make guitars out of weird materials, the neck is just a standard neck.
Yeah.
They've gone all the ways to make the whole thing out of... I wonder if the skateboards were just like trashed old ground up ones that weren't worth skating on anymore.
I'd kind of assume so, yeah.
So yeah, let's have a look. 14 skateboard decks. It's got a steel frame. And to keep them stuck together, they used car jacks. Wow. And once they were glued together, the resulting hunk of maple, because it's all maple, which will make it a super bright guitar. It was introduced to a bandsaw and recut into actual planks, which were then made into a guitar. So it was a several-step process by the look of it. But yeah, that's really, really nice. And I'm guessing you can't just buy that because that's a really pretty finish. You can kind of see where it's got these kind of curved points there, but they're on both sides and the middle. I'm guessing that they sandwiched all the boards together with their edges like that and then cut it in such a way that this is the actual same piece of wood, just kind of cut down the middle and then arranged. And
then glued back together.
Yeah, in a more guitar-ish shape. But yeah, I'd quite happily play that if it plays nicely. That's just my kind of art style. That I like it. It's not made out of pencils, so that's a good improvement. But yes, from that to something that I'll probably use on the channel. Moving on. Plugin Alliance has introduced Brainworx BX Limiter True Peak. This is a mastering True Peak limiter. And I use the Plugin Alliance bundle, so you'll probably see this on the channel sometime soon as I try it out. Apparently, it's better than all the other limiters because, of course, it is. Why wouldn't you say that in your marketing? Apparently, it relies on selective oversampling technology. Uses oversampling only where it wouldn't degrade the sound quality. Not entirely sure how they do that, but okay, cool, I guess. I mean, oversampling is a bit of a weird thing where apparently oversampling can make audio sound cleaner, but there are diminishing returns, and if you oversample too much, you actually end up causing more problems than you fix. So, yeah, there you go. But yeah, it's got this XL saturation algorithm, integrated high and low pass filters. So like you can low pass, like I think in the example here, they've done a high pass at 15 hertz and a low pass at 35 kilohertz. So I wonder if you're doing like super high sample rate mastering, that's just to stop any extraneous crap above and below those like subsonic and ultrasonic frequencies, which is probably quite a useful mastering tool because it's the kind of thing that the average person won't hear, but it will make things like encoding better because you're not trying to add things in that are just useless and eating up all your headroom. So yeah, we'll see how it sounds. I'll check it out on the channel. Watch this space. Apparently it's an introductory price of $250, and oh my word, I'm not paying that for a limiter. No thank you. But it's included in the mix and master bundle, which is what I use. I don't use their mega bundle because I don't need all the amps and stuff that they give you. But yeah, I pay $15 a month for all the stuff you see on the channel. So there's no point in me paying any more than that. And this comes with it. Great. Thank you very much. I'll be trying it soon. Now, moving on to a physical thing. This is the L6 Mark II pedal controller from Moore. And this is one of those loop switchers. We've seen a few of these on the channel. This has got 6 loops, as the L6 name might well suggest. It's got an inbuilt tuner. I'm guessing it's got other stuff. It's got inbuilt buffers and all sorts of clevery stuff. And yeah, it's just a big bank of jack holes on the back. I am considering making myself a pedal board for all my reamping, which sounds a bit weird. But I keep changing between different pedals. If you can see behind me on top of the amp there, if I just move back, there's a big pile of just pedals and stuff on top of that amp. Okay. It's because I keep changing my mind or changing the setup very slightly in between reamps. And it would be really nice if I could have all the main pedals that I use just on one board already and then just press a button and change between them without having to unplug and replug everything. But for me, honestly, it's a little bit of a luxury. We'll see if Moore will send me one. Hey. But probably not. But it shush. It looks like they've illustrated the point with the demo video on their channel where it's got pre and post buffers which you can use so that if you've got a long cable it doesn't sound terrible. And they've got all these different pedals on the board and it can switch different ones in and out on one click. And it means that if you're not using a pedal, it's just not in the loop at all. And that's really useful. Good stuff. $189 US for one of these, which is considerably less than some of the bigger brands charge for theirs, depending on what features you need. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah. And it's quite a small thing. It'll fit on that bit of the bottom strip of a pedal board quite well. So it won't take up a huge amount of space. I mean, the thing that competes with that is the Gigrig G3 Atom, which is not expensive. Sorry, not cheap. G3 Atom. Helps when you can spell. Come on. G3 Atom switching system. So without all the other bits, the Atom switching system is £800, so $1,000.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a significant change. Now, the G3 Atom has more stuff on the back and does more things, but does it do 5 times the price more things? And do you need 5 times the price worth of more things? That's more the question you've got to ask yourself. What do you actually need this for?
Yeah.
A lot of more old school guitarists will just have the pedals on a board and just turn them on and off as they need with their foot. Their what? Their foot, not their feet. And that makes sense. But the reason I would want one of these is because you send your signal into it, and if none of the pedals are on, it doesn't go through every single pedal. It just goes straight back out. Which, especially for someone who's obsessed with sound quality, with all the stuff like reamping, I don't want 5 pedals that are turned off all plugged in, because that's a potential to introduce all sorts of noise and other problems. And so I'd be using it more like a kind of a clever on-off big kind of lever switching of I want that one but not that one. Yeah, but if you need the other clever stuff, then yeah, it's available to you. Let's have a look. Right, so let's look at this news article. Apple are doing a spring event in a few days, so we'll probably be talking about this a lot more on next week's podcast. But it looks like they're announcing new iPads and other stuff. How colourful is that an Apple logo compared to what we've seen for the last many? Yeah, that's almost harking back to the mid-'80s Apple logo. So I wonder if they're going for a slight aesthetic change.
Maybe.
Yeah. So new iPad Mini, and iPad Pro are all expected. We are still waiting on the new M1X chips, which they might mention. That's what I'm excited for, is listening out for any news on that front. Because we're starting to see more and more companies now that are making their software fully compatible with the M1 Max, which is only going to get bigger and bigger as a support base as time goes on. Because, yeah, of course, there are a lot of audio producers, especially, who either are using the emulation layer on their new Macs, which means they're running the old software through a translation, which is potentially risky and crash-worthy because, you know, you've got a translation in the middle. Or they're just not buying the new Macs yet because the software doesn't work with it and you don't want to risk it. So, yeah, when we get more news of more powerful processors being available, or at least coming out very soon, that'll probably spur the last remaining set of developers who haven't actually got on that train yet to get on that train. Because if they don't, then that really will be, you will be left behind. That will be the death knell. And yeah, hopefully we see a lot more on that front, because I think time and time again we've seen in the tech industry that a system lives or dies not by its hardware specs but by the software and the support. Like, why was the PlayStation 2 the most successful console of all time? It's because there were so many games for it. And lots of them were great, lots of them weren't, but lots of them were there, so everybody had a choice, so everybody bought one. Yeah, if you get the developers going all in on a system, it will do well. Because then everybody has a reason to buy it, therefore everybody buys it, therefore more companies support it. It's a positive cycle, it's a positive feedback loop. And then other companies, I think, will look at the ARM chips and go, maybe we should be doing that. Because God only knows that the platforms that audio producers use right now, the x86 platforms, are very much coming to the end of their serviceable lifespan, really. I've just bought and configured a brand new computer that was not cheap. here, and it was a step up from what I was using before, but we're not talking orders of magnitude where it used to be that way in the early 2000s, that when you bought a new computer, you could genuinely expect a 2 or 3 times increase. We're not seeing that now.
I mean, it depends what you're doing, I think, is the key bit. I mean, and also what you're paying for. Like, the difference between, you look graphics cards wise, the difference between a 1060 and a 3090 is massive.
Yeah, but they're also just kind of like, even 1060 and a 3060, the difference is pretty big. But yeah, I'm talking between kind of generations rather than weight classes, because the difference with
a Pentium 2 and a Pentium 3 versus this i5 and the last i5.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, where, like, of course, in each generation there is the small fish and the big fish, but then the other thing is the big fish in each generation always uses the most power, and always has done. I mean, that's kind of how tech works, right? You get your middle, you get your small, and you get your big. And your small ones, they try and make as compact and efficient as possible, and your big ones are like the showpiece and the workstation chip, where we don't care about the power usage, we just want maximum performance. Mm-hmm. But that's where there are other problems. Really, that's what I mean by, like, we're coming up to a limit, because something like, say, a 3090 graphics card, if that's what you need, how much power do they use? 300 watts or more?
Yeah, it'll be around that. I don't know, because the RTX series use a lot less power than the GTX. But it will be a lot.
Yeah, so there has been some efficiency improvement. Graphics is probably the bad example then. CPUs is where I was kind of aiming the platform, because arguably they could make a whole new ARM platform and then strap GPUs to it. Yeah. The problem with CPUs really is where I'm kind of thinking along this line. The x86 processors are starting to show their age, and the improvement that we're seeing year on year, especially from Intel, is just terrible. And it's partly because the architecture itself doesn't have very much room for improvement. It's kind of led itself down a dead end, because x86 has to be so versatile, but it also, because it has this 30 plus year history, has to be able to support so many different add-ons and languages and modules. And if you know anything about CPU architecture, there's all sorts of stuff actually on the chip that's there because it has to be there. If it's not there, the chip breaks, or at least the software, like Windows, would break because of this one little piece of code that is left over from 20 years ago. And you could say, well, why don't the developers stop using that then? And then the answer comes back, well, why should they stop using that? It's always worked before. Whereas with a brand new architecture, they have no choice. With a brand new architecture, they have to rewrite their code to work on the new, efficient, clever stuff that doesn't have any dead weight attached. Yeah. The only way that x86 is going to get hugely faster, in my opinion, is if they completely started again from scratch. At which point, it's not x86 anymore, and, well, there you go. So it's a dead end. Or at least it will be at some point. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with any of that.
Yeah. I mean, the only way recently has been outwards. Like, more cores. More cores. Because, yeah, there's only so fast you can make an x86 chip run without it kind of causing a nuclear meltdown. So, yeah. But that's the thing. I got a 5800X from the Ryzen family to go in this machine. And that's really fast. But when I put it under a heavy load, it can end up taking up to 200 watts of power. You can almost feel the lights go dim. It's
yeah.
Yeah, it has the power I need, but at what cost? That's the thing. Yeah. Anyway, and finally, I thought you might appreciate this. We were talking about Google Sheets before and the crazy thing. A company called Sassy Audio have made a synth called Spreadsheet. Check this out. It's basically Excel, but it's a synth.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Just let that sink in for a second. It's basically Microsoft Excel, but it's a synthesizer.
Okay.
And you can color in different parts of the spreadsheet and make them into different generators or modulators for the sound.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can add like sums and maths and stuff like you would in Excel, but that then affects the output of the sound. So it's probably the nerdiest synth quite possibly ever. But yeah, you can download it for a name your own price deal from Sassy's website, which is awesome. I'm going to pop that in the chat for anyone who wants to get a spreadsheet synth. Because that is just like, wait, what? So it's got different oscillators at the bottom so you can see how they are oscillating. And yeah, you can change things based on formulas in a spreadsheet because...
Why not?
Yeah, rule of the internet, if you can imagine it, it's there. And now it truly is there. Blah. What? Yeah, so there you go. That was the finally. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything about our good old usual fodder of Behringer. Yeah, no Behringer Corner this week. They've not done anything worthy of our love. So they get none. And that was the news.
I just had a heart attack. I had Twitter open in another tab, and Rip Jet is trending.
Okay.
And I thought it was Diane, Jet from the Gladiators.
Yeah.
The first post when I clicked on it was a picture of Jet, and literally my heart sank because we know her personally. She's been a client of ours as well. I only spoke to her a little while ago, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was about to say I'm going to have to end the stream, and
it turns out that's a joke.
It's a dog from Somerset.
Right, and then someone's put Diane up as the joke. Right, okay.
No, everyone else saying what I thought, which was, "Oh my god, I thought that Dan Udell had passed away."
Right, okay, so
just loads of Jet.
Weird.
You always see that. Isn't that the thing with Twitter, though? Whenever you see someone trending, you think, have they died?
Yeah, you think, oh no. Oh dear. Have you seen that the tabloids have been nothing but Prince Philip for the last week?
I know. Right. Rule 34 of spreadsheets, yeah.
Oh God.
I'm sure it is. I remember the first time I learned about Rule 34. It was a disturbing day.
Yeah, well, it's more disturbing when you basically prove it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, yeah. If your Google foo is strong, you can find anything on the internet.
Mm-hmm. That was some work. Any questions? Any questions from the chat?
Yes. Tonight's questions will probably be kind of Celestion speakery video focused. If anyone's got any questions about the Celestion video, please throw them in chat because now it's over. I can talk about it as a post-mortem and then wipe my hands and be done with it.
What's the best speaker?
The best speaker? Oh, you mean my favourite speaker?
No, what do you think is the best speaker? Really difficult. It has to be super generic. Like, it's obviously the answer is it depends on the use case, but no, gun to your head. What's the best speaker?
Oh, people are going to hate me, but the best speaker is the Vintage 30.
Okay.
Because a lot of people moan and go, oh, it's so overused. It's overused because in pretty much any situation you can throw it in, it doesn't sound horrible. It works. Okay. I mean, that's probably why it's the best speaker, whereas all the other ones sound really good, but sometimes you put them in a situation and you go, no. Yeah.
So for you, is that the definition of the best speaker then? Something that's versatile?
Yes, because yeah. If I have to have a gun to the head, pick one.
Okay, so then versatile. On that basis, so that's the best speaker for that reason. Yeah. So then, with that answer in mind, what's the best speaker for a single use case? So there you've got to be able to like say, okay, this might be better for jazz, this might be better for rock, but is that how good is it in jazz? If you had to give it a score of 100 for everything, what's the best single use case speaker then?
I think that might be the G12H anniversary, which is kind of the old school heavy version. Excuse me, of the heavy version of the Greenback, which in metal really surprised me and just sounded with no work done to it like a record. If you know what I mean, it had the thunderous lows, didn't sound stuffy, was present without being painful. It just
and that's for metal music.
Yeah. Whereas for classic rock,
I know, no. That was a question for single use.
Okay. So, what was the best single use for that single use? Yeah, that was probably it. Yeah, the G12H anniversary for metal. Marty says, "Is the hemp speaker worth it, or is just the dream of pipes?" Actually, I thought the hemp speaker was really good. It had a very thick sound to it. So if you had a tone that was a little bit thin, and you just wanted it to sound fat, that was the perfect speaker for it, because it didn't sound muffly. It just made everything sound weighty. And also it had the meme factor of being made from hemp.
Poo Ninja, what was the worst part of making the guide?
The worst part of making this guide was easily the rendering of the file. So when the edit was done, because it failed over and over and over again, and sometimes it wouldn't fail until like 30 hours in, and I'd lose 2 days of work. So, yeah, sometimes I would lose days and then just not even know why. And eventually I had to build a whole new computer, then find one way to get around one problem, then another, then another, then another. And eventually I found a system that worked, managed to render it once. Done. And I say once, I actually had to do like a pre-release version, which I gave to the patrons to watch. And I found a lot of errors in there, which was part of the reason for doing it. And so I had all those errors fixed by the time the final thing went out, thank God. Yes. So yeah, that was probably the worst part of it. I mean, a lot of it was a slow slog, but I genuinely lost weeks to rendering. Oh, good question from Chris. What made you go all Zack Snyder with it rather than release it as episodes? So yeah, basically, why was it a 6-hour video and not just a series? Henning said the exact same thing. He said, I don't know why you'd do that and not make it a series. And I think it's a very fair question. But I have a very good reason, actually. I thought long and hard about this. That every time I've made a series on YouTube, the first part does really well, and then the retention goes like that, drops like a stone. So why would I make, say, a 6-part series or a 10-part series where most people are only going to watch part 1, when I know that on YouTube the amount of time somebody watches is important more than anything, which means it's kind of retention and watch time. If I can present it as one thing, you know where it is, you've seen it, and that means if you want to skip ahead to another bit, by all means skip ahead, but you know it's there. Because some of the feedback I've got on series over the years has been, why didn't you do a bit about this? And my reply is always, I did, it's in part 6 or part 7 of the series. And then the reply quite often comes back of, oh, I didn't know this was a series, despite the fact the title says part 1. So I thought, right, let's just take all of that away and just make it a one-stop shop. If you can find it, you found all of it.
Yeah, and it's part of our idea of using Adam's knowledge to create more sort of cornerstone content for the channel, which is essentially an encyclopedia sort of reference guide for something. And I think that makes complete sense of putting in one video with all the work you did in terms of timestamping stuff, so that with and stuff people can look things up.
Yes.
So you've got all of that stuff there, and you don't have to bother flicking through. So actually, it's more for the community than anyone else as well, because it's easier for them. You've got 6 parts. Arguably, if it does well, then you may get more benefits from ad revenue and stuff. But ultimately, the idea is to help educate, and how the best way to do that is to put it in one. And you're right, like, because it's so niche, like part 5 that's got like some really obscure like speakers in, like people might do really badly, therefore no one actually gets to see it. But then ultimately, if you want to flick back between different speakers, which was your whole idea, it's so much easier to do that on one video than it is to have to go back through different tabs, find which video it was in. Like, it just makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And in future, there's always the option for me to do shorter, extra like bonus versions with the caveat of saying in there, if you like what you see and this is useful for you, go and see the whole big thing.
So I was talking to you about YouTube Shorts, and I think that's the perfect way to get into some of the YouTube Shorts, which we've not been doing. But
actually, now you say that, on your advice, I have done that. I have 4 shorts ready to go, and I'll be putting out one a day. I've got another video coming out tomorrow about Henning's course, but then every day I'll be putting out a short about this that's under a minute long and has hashtag shorts in the title, because apparently that's how it comes up on mobile as an actual short. But yeah, you having said that, I have gone ahead and filmed them, so that's now a thing. Yeah,
again, YouTube algorithm.
Absolutely. And talk about David and Goliath under 1 minute, 6 hours. 1 minute, 6 hours.
So on that basis, Danny says, like, do you see yourself doing more videos of that length again?
Oh God, no. I'll probably make long format videos again, because I very much like this format, but I don't see why anything else would end up at 6 hours long.
Something will do.
Possibly. I mean, it won't. I don't intend to make anything like that again, but if it happens, it happens.
It's already the reference material. So if there's something that had, like, you got that many different speakers and combinations. So as you say, what could you have that many combinations of? I mean, if someone wants to send you that many different combinations of preamps, then I'm sure you'll abide by it.
Yes, if someone wanted to send me that many, I certainly wouldn't say no. I have already started work on the next big video, actually, that's going to take a few months to do, but this is comparing loads of different types of SM57s. Because everyone says, oh, just put an SM57 in front of it and it's done. It's like, okay. So, do you mean a brand new one? Do you mean a vintage one? Do you mean... Yeah. And so you end up going down that rabbit hole. So that's my next rabbit hole. But I can't see that being nearly as big a video time-wise. So, yeah. That's coming. And that's going to have some big-name guitarists in it as well, but hopefully a different cast from the previous video. Keep it fresh, keep it slightly different, make it interesting so people aren't going, oh, same guys, same clips again. Definitely want to keep it fresh, but now I know that this format works, now I can go ahead and plan this in, build this into my production schedule. So maybe every 2 or 3 months have a big video like this that drops in amongst everything else, because I'm not going to let this consume my life like this one did. This one really did take months away from me. I feel grayer than when I started. I certainly do.
So would you say the Major Prometheus, the speaker or the cab make the most difference?
Speaker, by a long way. That's an easy windmill slam answer. The cab does make some difference. It's certainly the volume of the cab, the shape of the cab does make a difference, but the actual speaker makes a massive difference. Like, if you just flick between some of the speakers in in the video, you'll hear how some of them really sound different from others. I mean, some of them sound kind of similar, either because they're designed to or just by chance. But yeah, if you have the same speaker in 4 different cabinets, it will sound different, but not nearly as different, I think, as changing the speaker out. Although the two are both variables, If a cabinet making company wants to make me 10 different cabinets of different sizes, Paul from Zilla, I'm looking at you, then just want to say a big thanks to Paul from Mozilla, actually, because we used 3 identical cabinets in this video, and the first one is one that I had bought for the channel to make these kind of videos with. And I ordered the other 2 cabinets off him, and then when it came time to deliver them, we hadn't talked about me actually paying for them yet. And so he just sent them, and I said, well, what do I owe you? And he just said, no, don't worry about it. Because from what he said, he's had so many orders come through his doors because of me mentioning the Zilla name that he was just like, take it. But to which I'm massively grateful, and thank you, Paul, for that. But just wanted to say that it's I fully intended to buy them for this video. And it's just through Paul's grace and offering them to me that they are now courtesy of Zilla Cabs. But yeah, it's just a bit of a weird thing because it's...
You'll be spending a lot of money with him more in the future, though. I mean, who else do you go for your cabs? I mean...
Yeah, that's very true. I mean...
They're great guys down there.
They absolutely are. I mean... Those guys do their own speaker comparison videos, and I feel a little bit bad because if we're being honest, I have just rained on their parade for a while. But a rising tide lifts all ships. If people like the idea of my video but don't want to watch me for 6 hours, they can go and watch Zilla's videos. Great.
But it gives you a point of reference as well. So seeing what you think in your condition, and then they've got a point of reference as well. It's like, oh, if you've seen Adam's video on this speaker with this cab, what Adam missed, which we think is really good, is if you put it in this cab and do this with it, then for this type of music, it sounds like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a point of reference, which is the whole point of it.
Oh, absolutely. It all adds. Nothing takes away from anybody else. That's one of my favorite things about YouTube as a resource, is that if you keep producing good content, you're never taking away from other people. You're only adding to the conversation. And yeah, so as much as some of my hope with this video was that it was supposed to be the final word in this, it isn't, because if people add to that, great. By all means, fuel the fire, carry on. And one thing I did say in the video was that I wanted to make a 4x12 video of this, but I literally couldn't afford to buy 4 of every speaker. Because that quadruples the cost. Instead of 26 speakers, that would be, 104 speakers? No.
Part two.
Oh, God. I mean, if Celestion want to send me a pallet full of speakers, then I certainly wouldn't say no, but that's pushing it a bit.
Some new names in the chat: Persian Dev and Can't Afford to Record. Both live in this Celestion video.
Yeah, Robbie from Can't Afford to Record. Hello. That's something that I really should mention. Everybody who's got some time after this podcast, go to the Can't Afford to Record YouTube channel. I did an hour-long interview last week with Robbie from Can't Afford to Record, talking about our studio, how we built it, my personal journey and history, and all sorts of interesting stuff in between. So go and check that out.
Nice.
Yes.
It's interviewed now. You're famous.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah. People asking me for my life story. A very push.
Indeed. Very cool. Video V13 where it's a choice of champions in the works.
That one's been done to death, I think. There is a whole section in the Celestion video about the Vintage 30 and how it was supposed to try and sound like the old Alnicos, but it never quite did. Even though it never quite did, it sounded like something people liked. Poonin just says, will you try an Eminence version of this driver video? I'm not saying no, but I've always kind of had a thing about Celestion speakers, which is why they were number 1 on my list. I think part of being British is that most of the guitar cabinets you find in this country have Celestions in them. because UK company, they just dominate our field in the UK, whereas Eminence are US based. I wouldn't mind betting that a lot more guitar cabs in the US have Eminences in, just because it's easier and you're not shipping them over. If Eminence want to reach out to me and do a video like that, I certainly wouldn't say no. But I know a lot less about Eminence speakers going in than I did with the Celestians, because I've been building up a knowledge base about Celestians for years now, and learning. And actually, one of the first big series that we did on this channel was the Celestion comparison, the original one. And the guys from Celestion, even then, were really supportive of what we were doing. I think we had 500 subscribers at that point. And honestly, we were kind of blagging it a little bit. Just kind of, yeah. But they believed in us from early on and sent us some speakers to try and demo. And so we built up a relationship with those guys. And even though they didn't commission us to do this video, they didn't pay us to make this video, which I certainly would have liked it if they did, but they couldn't. And actually, now the video's out, I can tell you that we did talk to Celestion originally about this being a video specifically for them, a commissioned video. That was something that they were open to, but then when COVID hit, they found themselves upside down. They're a Chinese-owned company, and they found that everything was just upside down. They suddenly had no budget. And I said, you know what? I'm doing this anyway. I always was going to. Let's do it on my own. So that's why it's an independent video. And it's probably why it was 6 hours long. I didn't have anyone to answer to. I didn't have anyone leaning over my shoulder going, can we just trim it down a bit? But yeah. So yeah, I don't mind telling you that was the original plan, was and this was from at least NAMM 2020. So we're talking over a year ago, when the seeds of the idea were beginning. Because it took a long time to actually gather all the speakers together, get the cabinets, get the equipment, plan it, get 6 different guitarists to actually send me separate parts. That part was like herding cats, I'll tell you that. I mean, a huge thanks to everyone who did it, to Ross, Henning, Jack, Jamie, John Brown, and Glenn. They were all brilliant just to send me stuff that they had made that was copyright free specifically for this video. That's a huge ask for people who are professional musicians, to just give me some of their music. So yeah, massive thanks to all of them. But on the other side of that coin, yeah, trying to get people to do things for you for free, it's got to work on their terms and their time scale. So yeah, that was a thing, and that's part of the reason why it took so long to do this. Once I had all the speakers and all the parts, it probably took 3 months maximum, start to finish. Because then I could make a battle plan, and I could go in and just go in the studio for a few days, make a lot of noise, and then spend a couple of days in front of my laptop going cross-eyed and making sure everything was edited properly. Then start the video. That was just a couple of days on the audio side. Oh boy. That's something, actually. I'm probably going to make a Reaper project so that the patrons can download it and look at all these wave quality files if you're really getting into the minutiae. But because that's going to be several gigabytes in size, I am only going to offer that to patrons. Because if everybody downloads it, then our hosting will die.
Yes, it will.
But if people are supporting us through Patreon, it offsets it. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's something I'm going to do, because I have the materials available. It's just another thing to get round to. And in fact,
how big is the file, did you say?
3.5 gigabytes.
I just need to check the server space.
There
will be 3.5 gig, but
Well, I was actually going to do it as a Dropbox link, but even so...
Oh, right, okay, cool. That's
even
fine.
so, if you have too many downloads of a file on Dropbox, they shut it down as a bandwidth limit.
Right, okay.
So, the point stands either way, but yeah, if too
you have
many
an
people...
issue with it, the other option is, I'm sure you could set up a basic Apache server on one of the computers downstairs. We've got fast enough internet here now.
Yeah. And then just put the files behind a donation wall.
Yeah.
Could work. Let me just type this out. What was I talking about then? Celestion Reaper project. There we go. I have a lot of stuff to do tomorrow morning, but it's all little bits, so I have to make notes because otherwise I won't know what way is up. Today I had loads of work to do this morning, and instead I went out and did the shopping and came back with a barbecue.
Nice.
Because that's how... So I was going to say, because that's how my brain works. Go on.
As I say, do you remember a couple of weeks ago when I said that somewhere we had a Dogecoin wallet that must have had at least 20 quid on it from back in 2015?
Yeah.
And I said that's probably worth like $9,000 now.
Mm.
During this stream, Dogecoin has almost hit 2 cents.
Ooh, whoa.
When I mentioned that, Dogecoin hadn't hit 1 cent yet. So that wallet that may exist somewhere is probably worth like 20 grand right now.
Well, I now have a one of these handy, which is a drive reader. So if we've got any old drives, that will plug literally anything in.
Oh yeah, I've got one behind here. I've literally been going through. I've got I'll show you.
Oh, does yours do IDE as well? Because
no, they're all SATA. I've literally got stacks of hard drives that I've been going through, trying to see if I can find a wallet file somewhere.
Wow.
The thing is, even if I do find it, we've still got to remember what the passphrase was, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if it was something I made, then I know exactly what the passphrase was.
No, I feel like we made it like a banter-related one.
Oh dear.
I feel it was like it would be something like banter likes Doge or something stupid. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we made it something normal.
Bonk. Oh
yeah.
Dear.
So we won't forget this.
Yeah. How young and naive we were.
Well, the sad thing is they've probably all gone because I'm pretty sure we just put them on the main hard drives, and over the years you've definitely had to reformat those work computers.
Yeah. Although I did always look for wallet.dat files, so...
Yeah. Well, maybe it's somewhere. I may have a 20 to 50 grand hard drive in one of these drives.
Yeah, well, that's why I got this thing, because like I'm sure I've got at least one old IDE hard drive somewhere from that era. So this now actually just turns it into an external USB drive.
Mm-hmm.
But at least one of my old drives...
I've got a little, it's not that expensive from Scan, but I've got a little double dock one, so I can put 2 hard drives in at once, which is really useful for getting through stacks of hard drives.
Right.
I went through and catalogued all our old stuff. That's how I was able to find those Reaper files for you for the APY.
Ah. Yeah, at least one of my old drives is properly dead. So, like head crashes and that kind of thing, but... You can sometimes resurrect them long enough to just get some small pieces of data off. Wallet.dat search.
I know, that's what I've been doing, like load it up, search for wallet.dat, not there, okay, next. Yeah. And I was kind of looking through them the other week when I thought it might be about 8 grand, but now that it's probably over 20 grand, I really, really want to find them. Because we were mining for at least a month. I remember that. We used to turn all the computers off. So keep all the computers on, after work, and everyone was told they had to set the Dogecoin miners up.
Yeah. I remember that, because everybody was like, oh, I don't get it, and then they'd go home. And we'd be like, oh, I'm very warm in here. 10 computers mining, and we'd just be sweating.
I know. We're literally making thousands of dollars.
Yeah. I mean, have another look up in the attic. There's probably more hard drives in computer shelves just lying around.
Yeah. Well, there are a couple of computer cases in the main office, but I think I've got all of the SATA drives. No, not SATA drives. The sort of the SSDs out of them, which is what I think they're on, and I've not found anything on them. So, alas, we have learned a lesson.
Yes, a very expensive one. But yes.
I'll keep mine in Trillium. There you go. Click mine. There we go.
Click, 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 and then don't spend it and leave it somewhere where you remember the password.
Yeah.
Come back in 10 years.
Yeah.
But yes, that's a very good place to end this stream. We're going to go and mine Trillium. So thank you everybody for watching. I'm Adam Steele and that's Liam Wright. And we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, that might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server, link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at